My girlfriend suddenly told me she was marrying my brother, not me. I said nothing. On the wedding day, I stood there smiling as the best man. When all the guests arrived, I took the mic and told the truth about her and what she had said about my brother. She ran to me crying and handed me something. The entire hall went silent. My name is Tyler, and I'm a 31-year-old commercial pilot for a regional airline. I've spent the last 8 years flying routes across the Midwest, which means I'm gone about 15 days a month. It's decent money, decent benefits, and I genuinely love what I do. But the schedule? It's hell on relationships. I learned that the hard way. I met Ashley 3 years ago at a coffee shop near O'Hare during a layover. She was sitting alone with a book, and I was killing time before my next flight. We started talking, and within 20 minutes, I missed my crew van. Worth it, honestly. She was a marketing consultant, funny, sharp, with this way of making you feel like the only person in the room. We exchanged numbers, and somehow, despite my crazy schedule, we made it work. Or at least I thought we did. My younger brother, Cameron, is 28 and works in finance at some hedge fund downtown. We've always been close, different personalities, sure, but we looked out for each other. He's the analytical type, always 3 steps ahead, whereas I'm more of a live-in-the-moment guy. Ashley met him about 6 months into our relationship at a family barbecue at my parents' house in Naperville. They got along great. Too great, I'd realize later. I remember that day clearly. It was July, hot as hell, and my dad was manning the grill like he always does. Ashley wore this sundress, yellow with white flowers, and she spent most of the afternoon talking to Cameron by the pool. I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? She was my girlfriend, he was my brother. They were just being friendly. Your brother's really smart, she told me that night as we drove back to her place. Yeah, he is. Sometimes too smart for his own good. She laughed. I like him. He's easy to talk to. Good. I'm glad you guys get along. And I meant it. I wanted my family to like her. I was already thinking long-term. Ring shopping, actually. I'd even mentioned it to my mom a few weeks earlier. Fast forward to February of this year. I'd just gotten back from a 4-day rotation, Dallas, Phoenix, back to Chicago. I was exhausted but excited to see Ashley. I walked into her apartment using the keys she'd given me, expecting to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Thai place. Instead, I found her sitting on the couch, staring at her phone, looking like she'd been crying. Ash, what's wrong? She looked up at me, and her face was completely unreadable. Not sad, not angry, just blank. We need to talk, she said. Those 4 words. I swear, nothing good ever follows them. I set the food down on the counter and sat next to her. Okay, talk. She took a deep breath, and I could see her hands shaking. Tyler, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending. Pretending what? That I'm happy. That this is working. I felt my stomach drop. What are you talking about? I thought we were good. I mean, yeah, the schedule sucks, but it's not just the schedule, she interrupted. It's everything. You're never here. And when you are, you're tired or distracted. I need someone who's present, Tyler. Someone who's building a life, not just flying through it. I just stared at her. My mouth went dry. So what are you saying? I'm saying I think we should break up. The words hung in the air like smoke. I nodded slowly, trying to process. Is there someone else? She hesitated, just for a second, but I caught it. No, she said. There's no one else. I didn't believe her, but I was too tired to fight, too tired to beg. All right, if that's what you want. She looked almost relieved, which somehow hurt more than anything else. I think it's for the best. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and headed for the door. I'll come by for my stuff this weekend. Tyler. It's fine, Ash. Really. I left that night and didn't look back. I crashed at my place, told myself I'd get over it, and threw myself into work. For 2 weeks, I didn't hear from her. Didn't hear from Cameron either, which was weird because we usually texted every few days. I figured he was just busy. Or maybe Ashley had told him about the breakup, and he didn't know what to say. Then, on a random Tuesday in March, my mom called. Tyler, honey, I have some exciting news. What's up, Mom? Cameron is getting married. I actually laughed. Wait, what? Cam. He's been single for like 2 years. I know. It's sudden, but he's so happy. He met someone, and they're doing a small ceremony in May. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, I said, still processing. That's great. Who's the girl? There was a pause. Well, her name is Ashley. I felt the air leave my lungs. Ashley. I repeated. Yes. I think you might have met her before, actually. Cameron said she used to date someone you knew. Small world, right? I couldn't speak. My brain was short-circuiting. Tyler? You there? Yeah. Yeah, Mom. I'm here. That's wow. Congratulations to them. I hung up and immediately called Cameron. No answer. I called again. And again. Finally, he texted me back. Cameron, can't talk right now. Call you later. He didn't call later. Not that night. Not the next day. I left him 3 voicemails and about a dozen texts before he finally responded 2 days later asking if we could meet in person. Update 1. 3 days went by before Cameron finally agreed to meet me. We sat in a diner near his apartment. One of those old-school places with red vinyl booths and a jukebox that hasn't worked since the 90s. The tension was suffocating. So, I said, not bothering with small talk. Ashley, he shifted in his seat, wouldn't meet my eyes. Look, Tyler, I know this is weird. Weird? Cam, you're marrying my ex-girlfriend. That's not weird. That's insane. She wasn't your ex when we started talking, he said defensively. She broke up with you first. Started talking? When the hell did you start talking? He looked down at his coffee. January. I did the math in my head. January? We didn't break up until February. I know. So you were talking to my girlfriend while we were still together. It wasn't like that, he said quickly. We were just friends at first. She reached out to me one night, upset. She was venting about the relationship, about how hard it was with you gone all the time. I was just being supportive. Supportive, I repeated flatly. Yeah. And then, I don't know, man. Feelings happened. We didn't plan it. I wanted to flip the table. I wanted to grab him by the collar and shake him until some sense fell into his head. Feelings happened? Are you serious right now? She's my girlfriend, Cameron. Was. Whatever. You don't just develop feelings for your brother's girlfriend and act on them. I didn't act on them, he insisted. Not until after you guys broke up. That's such bullshit and you know it. You were laying the groundwork. You were waiting. He finally looked at me, and I could see guilt written all over his face. Tyler, I'm sorry. I really am. But I love her. And she loves me. We didn't want to hurt you, but you're doing it anyway. He didn't respond. Does she know you're telling me this? I asked. She knows I was going to talk to you, yeah? And what did she say? He hesitated. She said you'd understand eventually. That you'd see we're better suited for each other. That you're too restless, too career-focused. She needs stability. I laughed bitterly. Better suited. Right. Because you're what? The consolation prize? The safe option? Don't do that. Do what? Tell the truth. Make this about some competition between us. It's not like that. Then what is it like, Cameron? Explain it to me. Because from where I'm sitting, my brother stole my girlfriend and is now acting like I should be happy about it. I didn't steal anyone, he said, his voice rising. She made a choice. A choice to be with someone who's actually there for her. That one stung. Because it was true. I wasn't there. Not enough. Tyler. No. I'm done. Do whatever you want. Marry her. I don't care. I threw a 20 on the table and left the diner. I didn't talk to him for weeks after that. Avoided family dinners, ignored his texts, blocked Ashley on everything. My mom kept calling, trying to mediate, but I wasn't interested. As far as I was concerned, they'd both betrayed me, and I owed them nothing. But then, in late April, Cameron showed up at my apartment. Just knocked on the door at 9 in the evening like it was normal. We need to talk, he said when I opened the door. I don't think we do. Tyler, please. Just 5 minutes. I considered slamming the door in his face. But he's still my brother. Was my brother. I don't even know anymore. I let him in. He stood in my living room, looking uncomfortable, hands in his pockets. I need to ask you something. What? Will you be my best man? I almost laughed. Almost. You're joking. I'm not. I know it's a lot to ask, but you're my brother. You've always been my brother. I don't want to get married without you there. Cameron, I can't. Please. Just think about it. I know I hurt you. I know this whole situation is messed up, but you're the only family I have besides Mom and Dad. I need you there. I stared at him. He looked genuine. Desperate, even. And that's when the idea hit me. A terrible, petty, perfect idea. All right, I said. I'll do it. He looked genuinely shocked. Really? Yeah. You're my brother. Despite everything, you're still my brother. I'll be there. Thank you, Tyler. Seriously. This means everything to me. It meant nothing. Because I wasn't doing it for him. After he left, I sat down and started planning. I had about 3 weeks until the wedding. 3 weeks to dig up everything I needed. I started going through old text messages, old conversations, old voicemails. And I found exactly what I was looking for. Update 2. The wedding was set for May 18th at a boutique venue outside the city. One of those rustic barn places that's been renovated and turned into a wedding destination. About 80 guests. Intimate, classy, expensive. I showed up early, dressed in the tux Cameron had picked out for the groomsmen, and played my part perfectly. I shook hands, smiled, made small talk with relatives I hadn't seen in years. Everyone kept telling me how mature I was being, how wonderful it was that I could support my brother despite the awkward circumstances. If only they knew. Ashley saw me during the pre-ceremony photos and looked nervous. She pulled me aside while the photographer was adjusting his equipment. "Tyler," she said quietly, "I just want to say thank you for being here. I know this isn't easy." "It's fine," I said evenly. "Cameron's my brother. I really hope we can all move past this. I never wanted to hurt you. You have to know that." "Sure." She looked like she wanted to say more, like there was something on the tip of her tongue, but the coordinator called her away for more photos. The ceremony itself was beautiful, I'll admit. The late afternoon sun streamed through the windows. There were flowers everywhere, and a string quartet played while guests filed in. Cameron looked genuinely happy standing at the altar. Ashley looked beautiful in her dress, simple, elegant, nothing over the top. I stood next to my brother, held the rings when prompted, and kept my expression neutral. When they kissed, everyone clapped and cheered. I clapped too. Then came the reception. Dinner was served, some fancy chicken dish with roasted vegetables. Toasts were made. Cameron's college buddy gave a funny speech about their fraternity days. My mom cried happy tears and talked about how proud she was of both her boys. Everything was perfect. Picture perfect. And then I stood up. "I'd like to say a few words," I announced, tapping my glass with a fork. Cameron looked at me, a little surprised, but nodded encouragingly. Ashley smiled nervously. She probably thought I was going to be gracious. "Wish them well. Be the bigger person." I walked to the microphone at the front of the room and adjusted it. The room fell quiet. 80 pairs of eyes on me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tyler, Cameron's older brother. I've known this guy his whole life. We've been through everything together, little league, high school, college, everything. So when he asked me to be his best man, I was honored. People smiled and nodded. Cameron visibly relaxed. He probably thought I was going to give a normal, boring best man speech. But I want to share something with you all tonight. Something I think you should know about the bride. The room shifted. You could feel the energy change. Ashley's face went pale. See, Ashley and I used to date. For 3 years, actually. And about 3 months ago, she broke up with me. Told me I was never around. That she needed someone more present, more stable. Fair enough. Breakups happen. People grow apart. Cameron was staring at me now, wide-eyed, frozen in his seat. But what she didn't tell me, what I found out later, was that she'd been talking to my brother while we were still together. Building a connection, I guess you'd call it. Emotional affair, some might say. And 2 weeks after she dumped me, they started dating officially. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I could see my mom's face, shocked and confused. My dad looked angry. But here's the really interesting part. I continued, my voice steady and calm. About a month ago, Ashley and I ran into each other at a coffee shop. We talked. She told me she still had feelings for me, that she made a mistake. That Cameron was nice, sure, but he wasn't me. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he's stable and he'll be a good provider, but let's be real, he's boring. He's the kind of guy you marry for security, not passion. Not like you. Ashley shot to her feet, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. That's not true. Tyler, that's a lie. Is it? I pulled out my phone slowly. Because I recorded that conversation, Ashley. Every word. And I'd be happy to play it right now for everyone to hear. The room erupted. People were whispering, gasping, turning to each other in shock. Cameron stood up too, his face red, looking between Ashley and me like he didn't know what to believe. "Tyler, stop this," Cameron said, his voice shaking. "Stop it right now. I'm just sharing the truth, Cam. You deserve to know who you're marrying. Who she really is." Ashley was crying now, mascara running down her face. She started walking toward me, pushing past guests, her hands trembling. "Tyler, please," she sobbed. "Please don't do this. I'll explain everything. Just don't." She reached into her small wedding purse and pulled out an envelope. Her hands were shaking so badly, she almost dropped it. She shoved it into my hands. "Open it," she said through tears. "Just open it. Please." I looked down at the envelope. The entire room was dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Cameron was standing frozen at our table. My mom had her hand over her mouth. I opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a letter, folded neatly. I unfolded it. The handwriting was mine. My stomach dropped. It was a note I'd written to Ashley 2 years ago, after a layover in Denver. A confession. I'd gotten drunk, slept with a flight attendant, and the guilt ate at me for weeks. I wrote the letter planning to confess everything, but I chickened out. I thought I'd thrown it away. I thought it was gone forever. "You left it in my apartment," Ashley whispered, her voice breaking. "Hidden in a book on my shelf. I found it 6 months ago. November. I never said anything because I loved you. I wanted to forgive you. But it destroyed me, Tyler. It destroyed everything. That's why I couldn't do it anymore. That's why I left." The room was spinning. I could feel everyone's eyes on me now, judging me. Cameron was staring at me like he didn't recognize me. My mom looked horrified. Ashley turned to Cameron, tears streaming down her face. "I never wanted him to know that I knew. I just wanted to move on. With you. Because you're good, Cameron. You're honest. You don't lie. You don't cheat." I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. My throat was completely closed. "And for the record," Ashley said, turning back to me, her voice stronger now, "I never said those things about Cameron. You made that up. You fabricated it because you wanted revenge. Because you couldn't stand that I moved on. That I found someone better." She was right. Every word. I'd made it up. The recording didn't exist. I was bluffing. But I never thought she'd have ammunition of her own. I left. I didn't run, but I walked quickly, pushing through the crowd, ignoring my mom calling my name. I got in my car, got in, and just sat there for a long time, staring at the steering wheel. Then I drove home. Update 3. For 2 weeks, I didn't talk to anyone. I called in sick to work, stayed in my apartment, and tried to process what had happened. Cameron tried calling 17 times in the first 3 days alone. My mom tried calling. Even my dad, who never calls, tried calling. I ignored them all. I couldn't face them. Couldn't face what I'd done. I'd humiliated myself in front of 80 people. I'd exposed my own infidelity while trying to destroy Ashley. And the worst part? She'd handled it with more grace than I deserved. Finally, on a Saturday morning, Cameron showed up at my door again. He didn't knock. He had a spare key from years ago when he used to crash at my place during college. He just walked in and found me on the couch, unshaven, in sweatpants, surrounded by takeout containers. "We need to talk," he said. I didn't argue. I just gestured to the chair across from me. He sat down heavily. "Did you cheat on her?" "No point in lying anymore." "Yeah, once. In Denver, about 2 years ago. It meant nothing. I felt like shit about it, and never told her." He nodded slowly, processing. "Why didn't you just tell her?" "Because I was a coward. Because I thought I could bury it, and it would go away." "And the thing you said at the wedding? About her saying I was boring?" "I made it up," I admitted. There was no recording. No conversation. I wanted to hurt her the way she hurt me. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Tyler, you hurt yourself more than anyone." He was right. "Are you still with her?" I asked quietly. "Yeah," he said. "We're working through it. It hasn't been easy. She's been a mess since the wedding. Embarrassed. Hurt. But we're talking. Really talking. I'm sorry, Cameron. For everything. For what I did to Ashley. For what I did to you at your wedding. I was selfish and cruel, and yeah, you were. The bluntness stung, but I deserved it. I don't know if I can forgive you right now," he continued. "Maybe eventually. But not now. What you did, it wasn't just about Ashley. You tried to destroy my marriage before it even started. You stood up there in front of everyone we love and lied. I know. Mom and Dad are furious. Dad wanted to come here himself, but Mom stopped him. I could only imagine." Cameron stood up. "I think we need space. Real space. Don't call me. Don't text me. When I'm ready, I'll reach out. Until then, just stay away from us." He left, and I haven't seen him since. Final update. It's been 7 months now. December's here, and Chicago is freezing like always. Cameron and Ashley are still married. They moved to a different neighborhood, somewhere near Lincoln Park, and from what I hear through my mom, they're doing okay. Better than okay, actually. My mom talks to them every week. She talks to me too, but it's different now. Strained. Careful. Like she's worried I might break. I went back to work in June. Flying actually helps. It's the only time I'm not trapped inside my own head, replaying that wedding over and over again. I ran into Ashley once, completely by accident, at a Whole Foods in October. We were both reaching for the same box of pasta. She saw me and froze. I froze too. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi. How are you?" "I've been better." "You?" "Same, I guess." We stood there awkwardly for a moment, and then she said, "Tyler, I want you to know. I forgave you. For Denver. For everything. I forgave you a long time ago. I just wish you could have forgiven yourself." I didn't know what to say to that. "Take care of yourself," she said, and walked away. I haven't seen her since. My mom hosted Thanksgiving at her house like she does every year. She invited me. She also invited Cameron and Ashley. I told her I'd think about it, but the day came and I couldn't do it. I spent Thanksgiving alone in my apartment with Chinese takeout and a football game on TV. Cameron hasn't reached out. I don't blame him. Maybe he never will. Maybe that's what I deserve. I still have that letter, by the way. The confession note. Ashley gave it back to me that night at the wedding. It was in the envelope. I've thought about burning it, but I keep it in my desk drawer as a reminder. Of what secrets cost. Of what pride costs. I lost my girlfriend, my brother, and a piece of myself in the span of a few months. And I can't get any of it back. I don't know if I ever will. Some nights I think about calling Cameron. Apologizing again. Begging for another chance. But what would I even say? Sorry I tried to ruin your marriage. Sorry I'm a cheater and a liar. It all sounds hollow. The worst part is knowing that Ashley was right. I couldn't stand that she moved on. That she found someone better. Someone who wouldn't cheat, wouldn't lie, wouldn't disappear for half the month chasing a career. Cameron was everything I wasn't. And instead of being happy for them, I tried to destroy them. I guess that says everything you need to know about who I really am. I still fly the same routes. Dallas, Phoenix, sometimes Denver. Every time I land in Denver, I think about that night. About the choice I made. About the letter I wrote and never sent, except I did send it, in a way. I left it where she'd find it. Maybe that wasn't an accident either. Edit 1. A lot of people have asked if I've tried therapy. Yeah, I started going in August. Twice a week. It helps, I guess. I'm learning that I have a pattern of running from consequences. Go figure. Edit 2. To everyone saying Ashley should have just told me she found the letter instead of breaking up, you're not wrong. But I cheated. I lied. I don't get to judge how she handled her pain. Edit 3. No, I'm not planning to reach out to Cameron again. He asked for space. I'm giving him space. That's the least I can do.